A sinister betrayal is unfolding in the halls of power in Ottawa. The Trudeau government stands accused of deliberately handicapping Canada's intelligence services while selling out our national secrets to foreign meddlers. This is nothing less than treason against the Canadian people. New damning revelations expose Trudeau's outright sabotage of the agencies charged with protecting Canada from foreign subversion. He has deliberately starved our intelligence services of vital resources, rendering us defenseless even as threats multiply. Trudeau's systematic crippling of key institutions smacks of a leader with something sinister to hide. Make no mistake, his choking of funding amid rising foreign meddling amounts to willful betrayal of his duty to safeguard our sovereignty, whose interests could be served by neutering our own spies while enabling foreign puppets to run amok. Trudeau owes Canadians an explanation for actions that reek of a political cover-up agenda. His sabotage of national security institutions only makes sense for a prime minister desperate to hide dirty secrets from voters. Welcome back to Street Politics Canada. Canada's national security and sovereignty have been dangerously compromised under Justin Trudeau's watch. Recent revelations have made clear that foreign interference networks are deeply embedded in all levels of Canadian government and politics. Our democracy is being incrementally weakened by foreign meddling, yet the Trudeau government continues to downplay the threat and fail to take decisive action. Public Safety Minister Dominic LeBlanc admitted Canada is a net importer of intelligence from allies, relying disproportionately on others compared to our own contributions. I was struck, when I became Minister of Public Safety, the extent to which we're net importers of intelligence information, LeBlanc told the public inquiry on foreign interference. This stark imbalance has long been an open secret, but LeBlanc's comments give direct insight into the sheer disproportion of Canada's over-reliance on outside intelligence. For a G7 nation, this is an unacceptable vulnerability and lack of self-sufficiency. This glaring imbalance shows how the Trudeau Liberals have severely neglected Canada's national security capabilities. After 8 years in power, they have left our agencies under-resourced and ill-equipped to detect and disrupt growing foreign interference. Trudeau's government has chronically underfunded and neglected core intelligence agencies like CSIS and CSE. Despite constant pleas for resources and modernization, the Liberals have left major gaps and weaknesses in Canada's intelligence capabilities. We become highly dependent on the fruits of intelligence efforts by partners, most notably the Five Eyes. Canada's risk-averse, minimalist intelligence culture has also been flagged. Our agencies hesitate on home soil operations and are reluctant to share information useful for allies, yet we eagerly ingest the intelligence efforts of partners. This imbalance has worsened steadily under past Liberal governments. Trudeau's chronic underfunding of intelligence agencies while downplaying growing foreign interference raises serious questions about his motivations and agenda. His actions betray a dangerous naivete or worse yet, deliberate sabotage of national security to hide political dirt. But why? This abject failure to invest in protecting Canadian democracy from foreign meddling, while downplaying the confirmed threats, reeks of a cover-up. Trudeau denies resources to intelligence agencies that could potentially uncover political skeletons in his closet. Voters must ask what dirty secrets Trudeau so desperately wants to keep hidden from Canadians. What embarrassing truths motivate him to neuter our ability to detect foreign influence operations? His behavior aligns not with negligence but deliberate concealment. Perhaps Trudeau fears robust intelligence powers could connect his government to the foreign meddling networks identified as deeply entrenched across Canadian institutions. Or maybe past election interference benefited Liberal fortunes, which they want to keep quiet. The underfunding of CSIS and CSE is even more outrageous when contrasted with their frivolous spending in other areas. Despite repeated warnings that intelligence capabilities urgently need investment, the Liberals have left major gaps while directing taxpayer money towards vanity projects and international virtue signaling. Since 2016, the Trudeau government has doled out a staggering $144 million to UN agencies and initiatives in the name of fighting climate change. This spending nearly tripled from $14 million in their first year to over $44 million last fiscal year, all while dismissing pleas from our intelligence agencies for resources to protect Canada in the face of rising foreign interference. Trudeau's government has also been far too opaque regarding classified information related to national security. They are overclassifying and over-redacting materials to avoid scrutiny and accountability. Excessive secrecy claims are being used to hide politically embarrassing details rather than legitimately protect sensitive intelligence. This prevents proper public and parliamentary oversight of Liberal failings on national security. The CSIS intelligence reports on foreign interference that were finally released only due to access to information requests paint a deeply troubling picture. They clearly warn that foreign networks are deeply embedded at all levels of Canadian government. Yet Trudeau ignored these assessments for years, downplaying concerning evidence of Chinese meddling brought forth by the media. Trudeau's obsession with political correctness, wokeness, and globalist image has left Canada wide open for foreign actors to exploit our electoral system, media, diaspora communities, and more. He continues to ignore the harsh realities of rising authoritarian regimes in order to preserve sunny relations and photo ops on the world stage. This naivety at best or willful ignorance at worst has surrendered Canadian sovereignty to insidious foreign influence under his watch. The recent intelligence briefings make clear elections are prime targets for foreign meddling. The integrity of our democracy is being directly undermined, perhaps even altering past election outcomes. Yet Trudeau has taken a dangerously complacent business-as-usual approach, unwilling to ruffle feathers by confronting foreign perpetrators. Imagine reputational impacts seem to matter more to him than defending Canadian democratic principles. Trudeau's unwillingness to stand up to the Chinese regime has directly emboldened their brazen interference efforts. Numerous Chinese intimidation campaigns against Canadian officials have gone ignored and unpunished by his government. He continues to ignore the harsh reality that Canada's liberal democratic values are inherently at odds with the hostile conduct of the Chinese Communist Party. Another recent intelligence briefing has raised alarming allegations of Indian interference in recent Canadian federal elections. The report accuses India of engaging in foreign interference (FI) activities, making it the only country identified alongside China as meddling in Canada's democracy. The briefing notes explicit naming of India as a foreign interference concern is extremely troubling. It also comes on the heels of other government statements indicating Indian interference is being probed in relation to the 2019 and 2021 elections. This is a dramatic reversal from the Trudeau government's previous indulgent attitude towards India. Trudeau's uncritical outreach to the Indian government now appears dangerously naive in light of the intelligence revelations. While China remains the foremost threat, the briefing note confirms India is emerging as another aggressive actor willing to meddle in Canadian affairs. These shocking allegations of Indian meddling in our sacred democratic processes are absolutely disgraceful. Trudeau's weak and irresponsible leadership has opened the door for yet another foreign actor to brazenly manipulate Canadian politics. That India feels emboldened to engage in subversive activities on Canadian soil is an utter embarrassment and betrays Trudeau's gross failure to defend Canadian sovereignty. His government's silence and secrecy about the confirmed Indian interference outlined in intelligence briefings is completely unacceptable. Trudeau has spinelessly remained mute after years of aggressively courting favor with Modi's government in a naive bid to win a UN Security Council seat. He shamefully ignored early warning signs that India saw his pandering as a sign of weakness to be exploited. The damage being inflicted on Canadian society and sovereignty is immense. Our free, multicultural democracy is being eroded insidiously by foreign powers seeking to manipulate identity politics and turn our openness against us. Canadian unity and social cohesion are being disrupted. Our economy is being increasingly undermined by foreign state-sponsored corporate espionage. Yet the Trudeau Liberals carry on with a business-as-usual, even sympathetic attitude to the foreign aggressors. To preserve Canadian security and values for future generations, dramatic action and a massive reorientation of priorities are needed. The Trudeau government must urgently correct its neglectful under-resourcing of key national security agencies. Legislation must be introduced to detect, deter, and impose harsh consequences on foreign interference activities. We must re-embrace unabashed patriotism and active defense of Canadian interests against foreign exploitation. The time for weak platitudes, symbolic gestures, and naive complacency in the face of rising foreign threats is over. All legitimate options must be on the table to confront foreign actors and eject their malign influence networks embedded across Canada under Trudeau's watch. Our democracy, sovereignty, and future prosperity as a nation are at stake. Trudeau must be replaced before the incremental damage becomes irreversible. Canada must boldly stand up once more and say we will no longer tolerate foreign meddling on our soil. The time to reclaim our security and sovereignty is now before it's too late. That is the only principled, patriotic path forward for Canada. Well, that's all for now. How far will Trudeau go to conceal his national security failures from Canadians? Let us know what you think in the comments below.